what are the ways that you have tainted her reputation, sullied her reputation, presented her in the most negative light. So that's got to be looked at very, very. There are so many ways that a person is harmed from narcissistic and emotional abuse. And I talked about another one of them in a previous video, and that was the issue of scapegoating. I want to talk now about how a perpetrator might unscapegoat their victim if they're so inclined, if they're motivated to do so. Hello, I'm Dr. David Hawkins, Director of the Marriage Recovery Center and the Emotional Abuse Institute. And scapegoating, I discussed previously, is an issue where the perpetrator presents themselves in the most favorable light while casting their victim in the more negative light. And it's done insidiously often. It's done pervasively. It can be done with families, with churches. And the victim of scapegoating can feel it, can feel the oppression. And the victim often wonders then if they are making a mountain out of a molehill, because that's what the perpetrator has said time and time again. But now the topic of unscapegoating. But let's talk about several steps that the perpetrator must take if they are going to really unscapegoat a victim of emotional abuse. Number one, obviously acknowledge the scapegoating. Acknowledge that they have presented themselves in the most favorable light, minimized their wrongdoing, while presenting the victim of abuse in the most negative light. It can be done very subtly, very covertly, but they've got to get expert care, expert help by someone who can sit with them and really look at what are the ways that you have tainted her reputation, sullied her reputation, presented her in the most negative light. So that's got to be looked at very, very, very carefully. And I would suggest probably over a number of sessions where she is able to talk about how she has been harmed and how her reputation has been tainted and sullied and cast in the most negative light. Secondly, then, of course, a genuine apology needs to occur where wrongdoing is owned without excuses, without manipulation, expressing true remorse over casting her in a negative light, blaming her, acknowledging the pain that has been caused. And of course, number three, stopping the scapegoating. Stopping the scapegoating. That's got to be done very, very carefully, very cautiously. But the scapegoating, it's got to be named for what it is, and then it's got to be stopped. No more blaming, shaming, or rewriting history. Number four, validate the victim's reality. Yes. Validate her reality. No more gaslighting, no more rewriting history, no more sullying her reputation to the family, to friends. And then I would say, number five, repairing relationships. Again, this has got to be done so carefully, so cautiously. So, do friends need to be gathered? Maybe. Does family need to be gathered? Maybe. Do church members need to be gathered? Maybe. I'm not saying absolutely, but she, the victim of abuse, needs to say, here's what I would like to have happen to repair my reputation, to present issues candidly and accurately. So rather than she has been making a mountain out of a molehill, no, he has been making a molehill out of a mountain. And so carefully with expert guidance, you look at, okay, do we go out and repair narratives? Do we present history in an accurate light? So all of this, number six, get expert help. Make sure that you have a professional who is looking at these patterns of scapegoating and let someone help guide how do we correct history? How do we correct the narrative? How do we encourage and have the perpetrator accept responsibility for harm done? And lastly, number seven, respect the victim's healing process. You know, they may want you to go out and talk to individuals. They may not want you to do that. They may want to be present for any kind of rewriting or correcting of the narrative. So be very, very careful about that. Take it at her pace. Go at her however she wants this to be done with, again, expert guidance. All right, I hope that has given you a bit of an overview on this very, very complicated topic. Unscapegoating the victim, correcting false narratives, false reputations, and the burden of that, and lifting the burden off of her shoulders and presenting it onto the perpetrator's shoulders. All right, I look forward to hearing from you. Tell me what you think about this, and perhaps we should have some more conversations about it. As always, click on the link to subscribe to future videos, and we have a client care team ready to help you determine your best path forward. All right, take care and God bless. I'll see you again soon.